royal family's next move that could decide their fate.
It seems to me there's a very strong case against Andrew, so we could actually potentially see the first member of the royal family going to prison.
During those glittering nights in Thailand and Hong Kong, where luxury masks, shadows, and royal titles open every door, whispers began to swirl about one man's unsettling behavior behind dimly lit lounges and private suites. Claims of Andrew's troubling requests and an endless carousel of women started painting a darker picture than the palace ever expected. So, what really happened on that international journey? And why are insiders suddenly stepping forward with details too explosive to ignore? Could this be the moment his carefully guarded secrets finally collapse? Prince Andrew's secret downfall. For years, Prince Andrew was held up as the Queen's golden child, the dependable son, the charming royal, the figure who seemed untouchable. But that once shining image has collapsed so completely that even the monarchy can no longer pretend otherwise. His public duties have been taken away, his military titles erased, and even his luxurious home, Royal Lodge, the massive 30-room Windsor estate he was so proud of, may soon slip out of his hands. But according to historian Andrew Loney, Andrew's downfall didn't begin with recent scandals. It began decades ago, long before the world was paying attention. Loney traces the root of everything back to the year 2001, when Andrew was appointed the United Kingdom's special trade envoy. He was 41 then, wealthy, privileged, and, as Loney puts it, deep in a personal crisis that no one inside the palace knew how to handle. Instead of treating the role as a chance to serve the nation, Andrew allegedly treated it as a personal VIP pass, a passport not for diplomacy, but for indulgence. One of the most shocking stories associated with that period occurred during an official trip to Thailand for the King's birthday celebrations. Since it was government business, British taxpayers covered the entire visit, but Andrew insisted he wouldn't stay at the British embassy like other officials. He demanded a 5-star luxury hotel, nothing less. And once he arrived, Loney claims Andrew quietly added 2 weeks of private time to what should have been a straightforward diplomatic visit. This wasn't a one-time choice. According to Loney, this became his signature move on almost every trip he took. Then comes the detail that stunned even seasoned royal watchers. Loney says that during just 4 days in Thailand, around 40 women were allegedly paid to visit Andrew's suite. This wasn't gossip whispered in hotel hallways. Loney says the claim was confirmed by several sources, including a Reuters journalist and, shockingly, a member of the Thai royal family. Even more disturbing are Loney's claims that similar behavior continued back home in the UK. He alleges that sex workers were brought into Buckingham Palace itself and that Queen Elizabeth was aware of the rumors, but, bound by duty and motherhood, chose silence. Loney's broader portrait of Andrew is unsettling. Describes a man who believed rules didn't apply to him. A man whose entitlement was so strong that he could blur the line between official business and personal pleasure without hesitation. Instead of promoting Britain's economic interests, he allegedly used his trade envoy status as a shield, mixing private deals, personal relationships, and royal privilege in ways that raised red flags behind the scenes. And royal insiders weren't blind to it. Loney claims that even Charles, long before he became king, warned advisors that giving Andrew such a role would backfire. He'll just chase women and play golf, Charles reportedly said. Looking back now, it sounds less like judgment and more like prophecy. Perhaps the darkest part of Loney's account is not Andrew's behavior itself, but the system around him. Diplomats, aides, and palace staff supposedly enabled him, either out of loyalty, fear, or a desire to protect the monarchy from embarrassment. Those who worked closest to him describe a man who tolerated no boundaries, a man who treated public resources as his own and reacted with anger when questioned, someone who believed his royal blood gave him the right to do whatever he wanted, wherever he wanted. And all of this, Loney suggests, was only the surface, just the beginning of a much deeper pattern of excess and entitlement that shaped his life behind closed doors, which leads us straight into the more detailed scandals waiting beneath the surface. So, how deep does this royal darkness really go? Keep watching The Dark Side of Prince Andrew. When Andrew Loney dug deeper into Prince Andrew's life as a trade envoy, he discovered something far more troubling than poor judgment. He uncovered a pattern
her with Andrew both on the island and in London, and also the campaign against her that had been orchestrated.
One where Andrew allegedly used his title not to support Britain's economy, but to help himself and those in his inner circle grow richer. Lowney insists this wasn't speculation. He points to real examples, including businessman David Rawlins, who supposedly gained access to powerful rooms and secured high-level meetings, all because Andrew opened doors for him. One claim even suggests Rawlins obtained a valuable banking license in the Middle East through Andrew's quiet interventions. Yet the documents that could confirm or deny these deals remain sealed away in government archives, hidden from the public, locked behind layers of official secrecy. Lowney calls this a conspiracy of silence, a system that kept Andrew protected for years while the truth stayed buried. And the longer those files remain untouched, the more people question what the palace has been trying to shield. But Andrew's behavior wasn't only questionable behind boardroom doors, it also showed in the smallest and strangest parts of his private life. Former staff describe his obsession with order, particularly his famous collection of teddy bears, nearly 40 of them, each needing to be placed in a precise arrangement on his bed. Employees were given laminated charts with exact positions so they wouldn't anger him. At first, details like this seemed merely odd, but as time passed, aides began to link his rigid routines with something deeper, a man who could no longer control his public life. So he tried to control everything around him, including the staff who served him. Those close to him say that after stepping back from royal duties, his temper grew sharper. Living mostly alone in Royal Lodge, the huge estate he refused to leave, Andrew allegedly took out his frustration on employees. The once pampered prince had become a man isolated by scandal, yet still expecting the world to revolve exactly as he wished. Palace officials tried for years to keep the growing storm out of sight. Quiet warnings were issued. His appearances were quietly reduced, and whenever tension rose, the monarchy stepped in to soften the blow. But now, that era is over. King Charles has acted decisively, removing Andrew's remaining honors, distancing the monarchy from his actions, and formally telling him to leave Royal Lodge. It marks a turning point, a signal that even a queen's son is no longer beyond consequences. And the Thailand trip that shocked so many was only one chapter. According to multiple accounts, something similar unfolded during Andrew's 2010 taxpayer-funded visit to Hong Kong. Staff assigned to the visit reported seeing a steady flow of paid escorts entering the top floor of the luxury hotel where Andrew stayed. While escort services are technically legal in Hong Kong, organized procurement is not, and observers say the situation quickly crossed ethical and possibly legal lines. The fact that British taxpayers funded parts of the trip only deepened the outrage. Official records from that period show Andrew had a busy schedule packed with business events, upscale dinners, and bank meetings. Yet those who worked behind the scenes say his private activities contradicted everything the public saw. For them, this was not a rare slip. It was a long-standing pattern, a revolving door of women, secretive arrangements, sudden schedule changes, and, as Lowney puts it, a man driven less by diplomacy and more by compulsive desires. The financial side makes the story even heavier. Investigators estimate that Andrew's decade of traveling as a UK representative cost taxpayers around $4 million. Some individual trips reportedly exceeded €90,000 in travel alone. Combined with his relationships with powerful figures in China, it paints a troubling picture. A senior royal treating international missions like personal adventures, with the public unknowingly paying the price. Amid all this, what has it truly cost him? Let's uncover the shocking toll, the consequences of Prince Andrew's scandals. For decades, Prince Andrew occupied one of the highest rungs of the British monarchy, enjoying privileges, respect, and influence that few could imagine.
But that definitely wasn't you getting a foot massage from a Russian girl in Jeffrey Epstein's house.
No.
As the Queen's son, he moved through life with a confidence granted by birthright, surrounded by ceremony, titles, and the unquestioned reverence of both the palace and the public. But everything changed at the moment his name became linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and the quiet concerns whispered in Buckingham Palace erupted into a storm of public scrutiny. What had once been discreet unease became one of the most severe forms of chastisement ever faced by a senior royal. And over time, The consequences stacked up, stripping him of authority, status, and protection, until the man who remained bore almost no resemblance to the prince he once was. The first major blow arrived in late 2019. Andrew's widely criticized BBC Newsnight interview, intended to clarify his connection to Epstein and the allegations surrounding him, had the opposite effect. His explanations were met with widespread disbelief and, in many cases, outright ridicule. Public pressure mounted, and the royal family responded swiftly. Andrew announced he would step back from public duties for the foreseeable future. This was more than a temporary pause. It marked the effective end of his working royal life. He no longer attended official engagements, represented the monarchy abroad, and no longer appeared alongside his family at major public ceremonies. For a prince raised to embrace duty, this was a foundational punishment, striking at the very heart of his identity. The consequences escalated further over the next few years. By January 2022, Queen Elizabeth II took unprecedented measures. She stripped Andrew of all his honorary military titles, including the esteemed role of Colonel of the Grenadier Guards, and removed all royal patronages he still held. These positions were far from symbolic. They were the pillars of his public life, connecting him to charities, regiments, and institutions across the Commonwealth. Losing them signaled to the world that he was no longer considered fit to serve in any meaningful capacity within the monarchy. The palace made this shift unmistakably clear. Andrew would no longer use the style His Royal Highness in any official capacity. No modern royal had ever been barred from using it without committing a serious breach. From this point onward, he was to be known simply as Prince Andrew, Duke of York, with HRH effectively suspended, a symbolic but deeply humiliating demotion. Then came the legal crisis. In February 2022, Andrew settled a civil lawsuit brought against him by Virginia Giuffre in the United States.
She alleges that she was made to sleep with Prince Andrew when she was underage, an allegation he strongly...
While he did not admit liability, the settlement included a substantial financial payout and a donation to Giuffre's charity. Though not a direct royal punishment, the settlement reinforced the public perception that Andrew had become a threat to the monarchy's reputation. It confirmed that his actions carried consequences far beyond private scandal, threatening the very image of the institution. The most dramatic measures were followed under King Charles III. In 2025, Charles initiated formal steps to strip Andrew of nearly all remaining royal identifiers. Andrew lost the style and title of prince, becoming legally and publicly known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The removal of a prince's title by a reigning monarch is almost unheard of in modern times, marking a historic moment. He was also removed from the roll of the peerage for active use of the titles Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, and Baron Killyleagh, and was stripped of honors, including the Order of the Garter and the Royal Victorian Order. One by one, the pillars of his royal identity were dismantled. Titles, honors, and public roles were not the only losses. Andrew was ordered to vacate Royal Lodge, his longtime residence within Windsor Great Park. Losing his home symbolized his near-total expulsion from the inner circle of the royal family. Everything that once protected him, privilege, status, ceremonial roles, national respect, had been systematically taken away. Today, Andrew is a shadow of the prince he once was. No military honors, no patronages, no HRH style, no active duties, no seat in the ceremonial life of the monarchy. He has been formally and publicly shut out in ways unprecedented in modern royal history. But how does the public now see him, and has his fall from grace reshaped the perception of the monarchy itself? Stay tuned. Prince Andrew, public opinion collapses. Over the years, public opinion of Prince Andrew has undergone a dramatic collapse.
In November that year, Prince Andrew tried to rebut the allegations being made against him in a rare and...
Once seen as a conventional member of the royal family, entitled perhaps, but largely uncontroversial, he has become a symbol of scandal and misjudgment, particularly following his connections to Jeffrey Epstein and the allegations made by Virginia Giuffre. What began as whispers within palace corridors has grown into a full-blown reputational crisis, leaving Andrew widely viewed not as a royal asset, but as a liability. The turning point came in 2019 with Andrew's infamous BBC Newsnight interview. Intended to clarify his friendship with Epstein and address the serious allegations against him, the broadcast instead backfired spectacularly. Public polling from the period made the impact clear. Only 6% of respondents believed his explanations, while 51% actively disbelieved him, and 43% remained uncertain. Media outlets across the UK described the interview as a PR disaster, portraying Andrew as evasive, unremorseful, or simply incapable of confronting the gravity of his actions. As the years passed, Andrew's public standing deteriorated further. By October 2025, an Ipsos poll revealed that 82% of Britons now hold an unfavorable view of him, the highest negative rating recorded since scandal-related polls began. Support for his removal from royal life has also grown remarkably. That same survey showed that 88% of respondents backed the decision to strip him of his royal titles, signaling that the public not only accepted his sidelining, but largely welcomed it. Long-term tracking reinforces this picture of collapse. YouGov data indicates that 91% of Britons now view Andrew negatively, with 81% rating him very negatively. These are almost unprecedented lows for someone born into the royal family, reflecting a near total erosion of trust and admiration. Andrew is no longer just unpopular. He is widely regarded as a tarnished figure whose actions have permanently damaged his image and, by extension, the reputation of the monarchy. Political and legal discourse mirrors public sentiment. A growing majority of Britons support formal actions to remove his remaining royal identifiers. A YouGov poll, reported by Sky News, found that roughly 79% believe King Charles made the right call in removing Andrew's prince title and asking him to vacate Royal Lodge. At the same time, 58% of respondents felt the palace had acted too slowly in handling Epstein-related controversies, suggesting both impatience and frustration with how the monarchy managed a crisis that now seems both predictable and preventable. The demand for accountability has grown louder. Reports indicate that nearly 80% of Britons believe Andrew should testify under oath to American authorities investigating Epstein's crimes. This demonstrates that public expectation has shifted from symbolic measures, such as removing titles or restricting duties, to a desire for transparency, responsibility, and potential legal consequences. People want him to face real consequences, not merely social or ceremonial reprimands. The tone of public discussion surrounding Andrew has become increasingly harsh. Media commentary frequently frames his downfall as a product of entitlement, poor judgment, and failure to accept responsibility. His friendship with Epstein, combined with what many see as a lack of empathy toward the victims, has not only eroded trust in him, but has also cast a shadow over the monarchy's ability to self-regulate. For many, Andrew embodies the dangers of privilege untempered by accountability. Taken together, these polls, public sentiment, and media narratives paint a clear picture. Prince Andrew is no longer just a controversial royal figure. He is widely seen as a liability whose presence threatens the monarchy's public legitimacy. His unpopularity is deep-rooted, enduring, and unlikely to reverse. But how is this fall from grace shaping his current life? And what remains of Andrew now that public trust has vanished? Keep watching to find out. The current life of Prince Andrew insiders say, Prince Andrew is desperately holding on to what little remains of his former status.
Friendship with Epstein.
Still not.
He is reportedly defiant, refusing to acknowledge that the monarchy has moved on without him. Sources paint a picture of a man increasingly isolated from reality, spending long days secluded in Royal Lodge, sometimes absorbed in video games or other distractions to escape the world outside. Friends describe him as bitter, blaming everyone but himself for the collapse of his once protected position. But the truth is harsher. King Charles has exhausted his patience. Andrew's days of royal shielding and quiet deals are over. There will be no more cover-ups, no more special treatment. The arrogance and entitlement that defined him have finally caught up, leaving him exposed and powerless. Yet, what makes Andrew's fall so chilling isn't just the scandal, it's the silence that allowed it. According to historian Andrew Loney, his behavior didn't occur in isolation. It was nurtured by a broader culture of indulgence and secrecy within the palace, a system where privilege went unchecked and few dared to question it. For years, this environment permitted Andrew to act without consequences, until the weight of public outrage and legal pressure made it impossible to ignore. And even now, whispers suggest there may be further revelations yet to surface. Andrew's story is no longer about royal charm, public service, or ceremonial duty. It's about a man who believed the rules didn't apply to him, and an institution that allowed him to believe it. Once a representative of Britain on the world stage, he now symbolizes the very excesses the monarchy must distance itself from if it hopes to remain relevant. The dismantling of his life has been methodical and absolute. The title is gone. Royal privileges are revoked. His home, Royal Lodge, is soon to follow. Respect, once freely given by the public and peers alike, has evaporated. This is not merely a setback in a royal career. It is the complete erosion of a legacy. And yet, perhaps the most important lesson lies beyond Andrew himself. His downfall is a warning that no level of privilege guarantees immunity. The monarchy, long protected by tradition and public reverence, now faces the challenge of demonstrating that accountability applies to all its members, even those born into it. Andrew's tale is a stark reflection of the consequences of unchecked entitlement. A prince who once embodied wealth, influence, and status now serves as a reminder. Privilege can shield you only for so long, and when the world finally takes notice, even a royal legacy can crumble entirely. So, what do you think? Was Andrew's downfall inevitable? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.